Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's workshop. This week's topic for workshop is interpersonal relationships. Woo! Awesome. We would like for you all to join us by clicking on the video with the blinking purple border on our page. So if you are watching the video with no blinking border, please join us above or below for the watch party, okay? Again, I want to thank you all for participating, whether it is during workshop time from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Tuesday and 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Thursday, or whether you watch the video and comment in the discussions at a later time. You are all great and appreciated. Also, please join us for the discussion afterwards. It's a good time for us to get social and for you to tell us your thoughts and opinions about the workshop. And remember, please like our video after watching it, guys. Now let's get started with a review of last week's workshop. Okay, last week's workshop topic was workplace health and safety. So I wanted to know what you guys need to do as employees to stay safe while working or being out and about. Okay, you have 2 minutes. All right, everybody, 2 minutes are up. So, great guesses, guys. I'll also go through the list from last week just for clarification, okay? So, employee expectations, specifically for businesses reopening, are as follows. Practice physical distancing by keeping more than 2 meters, 6 feet apart from coworkers and customers. Continue to follow all safe work procedures. If it is unsafe to work, you should talk to your supervisor, health and safety committee or representative, and or union. Stay home if you're sick or might be sick. Follow the Public Health Agency of Canada steps for self-assessment, which is online. Avoid touching your face. And wash your hands at the start of your shift, before eating or drinking, after touching shared items, after using the washroom, and before leaving work. Also, always remove your jewelry while you're washing. So again, guys, great guesses. Now, we're going to start our topic on interpersonal relationships. So, what is an interpersonal relationship? Okay? I'll start off by defining that for us all. An interpersonal relationship is a strong, deep, or close connection or acquaintance between two or more people that may last for a long time or short time. This connection may be based on suggestion, love, unity, regular work interactions, or some other types of social commitments such as church, leagues, volunteer positions, clubs, neighborhoods, and places of worship. These relationships may be kept up because of law, custom, or an agreement between people and are the base of social and society groups as a whole. All right, so that's the definition of our topic for today. There are many different types of interpersonal relationships, you guys. There are intimate relationships, lovers, significant other spouses. There are family relationships, friendships, enemies or frenemies, neighbors, business relationships, partnerships, employer and employee, contractor, customer, landlord and tenant, and official relationships. Okay? Now I got a question for you guys. Can you all give me some examples of what kinds of interpersonal relationships you have? Okay, you have 2 minutes. Five, four, three, two, and one. Awesome. Great, guys. So now that you have all told me what kinds of interpersonal relationships you guys have, we can now break down what each type of relationship is as explained. This might give you some clarity on what each of your relationships are supposed to look like if you place it under a specific title, okay? Intimate relationships. So, our first interpersonal relationship type is intimate relationships. An intimate relationship is an interpersonal relationship that involves physical and or emotional intimacy. Physical intimacy is described as friendship, non-sexual love, romantic love, or sexual activity. While the term intimate relationship usually means the inclusion of a sexual relationship, the term is also used as another word for a relationship that is strictly sexual. Intimate relationships play a central role in the overall human experience. Humans have a general desire to belong and to love, which is usually satisfied within an intimate relationship. These relationships involve feelings of liking or loving one or more people. Romance, physical or sexual attraction, sexual relationships, or emotional and personal support between each person. Intimate relationships allow a social network for people to form strong emotional connections. Now, under the title of intimate relationships, there are 3 different types: lovers, significant others, and spouses, husband and wife. Lovers are a person or persons who is in love with one another. All right? Significant other is used as a casual, gender-neutral term for a person's partner in an intimate relationship without revealing or assuming anything about marital status, relationship status, or sexual orientation. Synonyms with similar properties include sweetheart, better half, spouse, domestic partner, lover, soulmate, or life partner. Now, under the title of intimate relationships, there are 3 different subtypes: lovers, significant others, and spouses, husband and wife. Okay? Now let's start with lovers. Lovers are a person or persons who is in love with one another. Significant other is a casual, gender-neutral term for a person's partner in an intimate relationship without revealing or assuming anything about marital status, relationship status, or sexual orientation. Other words used for significant others include sweetheart, better half, spouse, domestic partner, lover, soulmate, or life partner. A spouse is a life partner in a holy matrimony, marriage, civil union, domestic partnership, or a common law marriage. The term is gender neutral, whereas a male spouse is a husband and a female spouse is a wife. Although a spouse is a form of significant other, the latest term also includes non-marital partners who play a social role similar to that of a spouse, but do not have rights and duties reserved by law to a spouse. Okay? Now, our second interpersonal relationship type is family relationships. In the context of human society, a family is a group of people connected either by recognized birth, by marriage or another relationship, by co-residence, or some combination of these. Members of the immediate family may include spouses, parents, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters. Members of the extended family may include grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, and siblings-in-law. Sometimes these are also considered members of the immediate family, depending on an individual's specific relationship with them. So these would be people that you aren't related to by any way, but they have possibly been a family friend. Who is your mom and dad's best friend? who you've known as an uncle or auntie since you were little. Which for me, I have quite a few of those, especially when it comes to church and those relationships. There's always been quite a few of those relationships for me as well. A couple of aunties, I got some cousins that have been adopted in, I definitely got some extra brothers and sisters out there that my parents have just adopted, so it's really awesome. So, with that said, I have another question for you guys. So, who here has a friend or best friend? And what are the things that you look for in a friend? Okay? You have 2 minutes, everybody, starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Our next interpersonal relationship type is friendships. So, friendship is a relationship of mutual care between people. Friendship is a stronger form of an interpersonal bond than making an acquaintance. Friendship has been studied by many different people in lots of different school programs, such as communication, and etc. Although there are many forms of friendship, some of which may change from place to place, certain characteristics are present in many types of such bonds. These characteristics include affection, kindness, love, sympathy, empathy, honesty, loyalty, mutual understanding and compassion, enjoyment of each other's company, trust, the ability to be yourself, express your feelings to others, and make mistakes without fear of judgment from the friend. Another type of interpersonal relationships are enemies or frenemies. Now, an enemy is an individual or a group that is seen as hostile or threatening. The concept of an enemy has been observed to be basic for both individuals and communities. The term enemy serves the social function of labeling a particular person or thing as a threat, thereby creating a strong negative emotional response to that person or thing. I'm assuming quite a few of us have had frenemies in the past and may even have frenemies now. People that you still kind of hang out with, but you know you're not really into that person, but you kind of are hanging out with them just to make sure that you know they're not talking crap about you, or you know somebody who you can do both. You like, but you don't like. Frenemy is an oxymoron and a mix of friend and enemy. Okay? That refers to a person with whom one is friendly despite a dislike or beef, or a person who combines the characteristics of a friend and an enemy. The term is used to describe personal, political, and profitable relationships both among individuals and groups or institutions. Now we move on to neighborhoods. A neighborhood is a geographically, which means of or relating to the natural features, population, industries, etc. of a region or regions. Localized community within a larger city, town, suburb, or rural area. Neighborhoods are often social communities with considerable face-to-face interaction among members. Researchers have not agreed on an exact definition, but the following may serve as a starting point. Neighborhood is generally defined spatially as a specific geographic area and functionally as a set of social networks. Neighborhoods, then, are the spatial units in which face-to-face social interactions occur. The personal settings and situations where residents seek to realize common values, socialize youth, and maintain effective control. Neighborhoods are typically generated by social interaction among people living near one another. In this sense, they are local social units larger than households that are not directly under the control of city or state officials. In some pre-industrial urban traditions, basic community functions such as protection, social guidelines of births and marriages, cleaning, and upkeep are handled casually by neighborhoods and not by urban governments. This pattern is very recognized for historical Islamic cities. Now, there are many different types of business relationships, such as partnerships, employers and employees, contractors, customers, landlords and tenants. There's one more. Okay. A partnership is an arrangement where parties known as partners agree to cooperate to advance their mutual interest. The partners in a partnership may be individuals, businesses, interest-based organizations, schools, governments, or combinations of these things. Organizations may partner to increase the likelihood of each achieving their mission and to amplify their reach. A partnership may result in issuing and holding equity, or maybe, sorry about that, guys, it's just the front doorbell, and holding equity, or may be only governed by a contract. An employee gives labor and expertise in a workplace for an employer or a person conducting a business or a job, and is usually hired to perform specific duties which are packaged into a job. In a business context, an employee is a person who is hired to provide services to a company on a regular basis in exchange for money, and who doesn't provide these services as part of a separate business. So guys, please remember that when you are asked to do something at work, just do it. You're not there as a volunteer, you're there as a paid person who is being paid to do the work that they're asking you to do, right? So sometimes we have difficulties with these because sometimes we kind of want to be the boss and in charge of what's happening at the businesses. Unfortunately, unless you are the boss or the owner of a company that you are running or working at, then you need to listen to your bosses or supervisors, who are in actuality the people that are responsible for handing out tasks and making sure that you get everything done that you need done. Okay? An independent contractor is a natural person, business, or company that provides goods or services to another individual under terms specified in a contract or within a verbal agreement. Unlike an employee, an independent contractor does not work regularly for an employer, but works as and when required, during which time he or she may be subject to a different law of business. Independent contractors are usually paid on a freelance basis. Contractors often work through a limited company or contract, which they themselves own, or may work through an umbrella company, right? So if you're an independent contractor who's cutting grass and, shoveling snow and stuff like that, then you kind of make your own schedule and book your own times and you're your own boss, right? But if you work for a place like Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart, right? Those are all places that have bosses, and we have to respect, listen, and do what is being asked of us. All right. In sales, buying and selling, a customer, sometimes known as a client, buyer, or purchaser, is the recipient of a good service, product, or an idea, obtained from a seller, vendor, or supplier via a financial transaction or exchange for money or some other valuable thought. A landlord is the owner of a house, apartment, condo, land, or real estate which is rented or leased to an individual or business, who is called a tenant, leasee, or a renter. When a person versed in law is in this position, the term landlord is used. Other terms include lessor or owner. The term landlady may be used for women owners, like me, and lesser applies to both genders. Okay, so it's that time again, guys. I have a question for you. Can you give me some examples of employer and employee relationships that you guys are a part of? You have 2 minutes starting now. All right, guys. Great job. Great job. Okay. Now, let's move on to official relationships. Official relationships. Okay. Oh, there we go. An official is someone who holds an office in an organization or government and participates in the exercise of authority, either their own or that of their superior and or employer, public or legally private. This is what makes an official relationship. A government official or representative is an official who is involved in public administration or government through either election, appointment, selection, or employment. An office holder or civil servant is a member of the administration. An elected official is a person who is an official by virtue of an election. Officials may also be appointed ex officio by virtue of another office, often in a specified capacity, such as presiding, advisory, or secretary. Some official positions may be inherited. A person who currently holds an office is referred to as a mandatory official. So, the two gentlemen in this photo, you guys, are Justin Trudeau, right here. He is the Prime Minister of Canada. And then we have Donald Trump, who is the President of the United States. Okay. So, now we have went through the different types of interpersonal relationships. Let's move on to the importance of them. Human beings are naturally social and are shaped by their experiences with others. There are multiple ways to understand this natural motivation to interact with others. With this said, we are going to give you guys 3 main examples of the importance of interpersonal relationships. They are the need to belong, social exchange, and rational self. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, humans need to feel love, sexual, non-sexual, and acceptance from social groups, family, or friends. In fact, the need to belong is so naturally rooted that it may be strong enough to overcome physiological and safety needs, such as children's attachment to abusive parents or staying in abusive romantic relationships. Such examples illustrate the extent to which the psychobiological drive to belong is rooted. Another way to appreciate the importance of relationships is in terms of a reward structure. This view suggests that individuals engage in relations that are rewarding in both tangible and intangible ways. This idea fits into a larger idea of social exchange. This model is based on the idea that relationships develop as a result of cost-benefit analysis. Individuals seek out rewards in interactions with others and are willing to pay a cost for said rewards. In the best case scenario, rewards will exceed costs, preceding a net gain. This can lead to shopping around or constantly comparing alternatives to maximize the benefits or rewards while minimizing costs. Relationships are also important for their ability to help individuals develop a sense of self. The relational self is the part of an individual's self-concept that consists of the feelings and beliefs that one has regarding oneself that develops based on, just forgot to put up my picture, that develops based on interactions with others. In other words, one's emotions and behaviors are shaped by past relationships. Thus, relational self theory suggests that past and existing relationships influence one's emotions and behaviors and in interactions with new individuals, particularly those individuals that remind him or her of others in his or her life. Studies have shown that exposure to someone who resembles a significant other activates self-beliefs, changing how one thinks about oneself in the moment more so than exposure to someone who does not resemble one's significant other. Very interesting. Now, there we go. Now, in each relationship, guys, there is a big or little fight for power and dominance. Power is the ability to influence the behavior of people. When two parties have or affirm unequal levels of power, one is termed dominant and the other submissive. Expressions of dominance can communicate intention to affirm or maintain dominance in a relationship. Being submissive can be beneficial because it saves time, emotional stress, and may avoid hostile actions such as withholding of resources, ending of cooperation, termination of the relationship, maintaining a grudge, or even physical violence. Submission occurs in different degrees. For example, some employees may follow orders without question, whereas others might express disagreement but agree when pressed. Groups of people can form a dominance pyramid. For example, a categorized organization uses a command pyramid for top-down management. This can reduce time wasted in conflict over unimportant decisions, prevents random decisions from harming the operations of the organization, maintain alignment of a large population of workers with the goals of the owners, which the workers might not personally share, and if promotion is based on merit, help ensure that the people with the best knowledge make important decisions. This contrasts with group decision making and systems which encourage decision making and self-organization by frontline employees, who in some cases may have better information about customer needs or how to work well. Dominance is only one aspect of organizational structure. In business relationships, dominance is often associated with economic power. So, for example, a business may adopt a submissive attitude to customer preferences, stalking what customers want to buy, and complaints. The customer is always right, in order to earn more money. A firm with dominant power may be less responsive to customer complaints because it can afford to adopt a dominant position. In a business partnership, a silent partner is one who adopts a submissive position in all aspects, but retains financial ownership and a share of the profits. Two parties can be dominant in different areas. For example, in a friendship or romantic relationship, one person may have strong opinions about where to eat dinner, whereas the other has strong opinions about how to decorate a shared space. It could be beneficial for the person with weak preferences to be submissive in that area, because it will not make them unhappy and avoids conflict with the person that would be unhappy. Okay? Now, power and dominance are just an aspect of interpersonal relationships because there are also stages that we will go through in each relationship. Interpersonal relationships are dynamic systems that change continuously during their existence. Like living organisms, relationships have a beginning, a lifespan, and an end. They tend to grow and improve gradually as people get to know each other and become closer emotionally, or they gradually worsen as people drift apart, move on with their lives, and form new relationships with others. One of the most influential models of relationship development was proposed by psychologist George Levinger. This model was framed to describe heterosexual adult romantic relationships, but it has been applied to other kinds of interpersonal relationships as well. According to the model, the natural development of a relationship follows 5 stages. These stages are acquaintance and acquaintanceship, build up, continuation, deterioration, and ending. Acquaintance and acquaintanceship is when becoming acquainted depends on previous relationships, physical closeness, first impressions, and a variety of other factors. If two people begin to like each other, continued interactions may lead to the next stage, but acquaintance can continue indefinitely. Another example is association. During the build-up stage, people begin to trust and care about each other. The need for intimacy, compatibility, and such filtering agents as common backgrounds and goals will influence whether or not interaction continues, which it absolutely does. The continuation stage follows a mutual commitment to quite a strong and close long-term friendship, romantic relationship, or even marriage. It is generally a long, relatively stable period. Nevertheless, continued growth and development will occur during this time. Mutual trust is important for sustaining the relationship. The next stage is deterioration, and not all relationships deteriorate, but those that do tend to show signs of trouble. Those that do tend to show signs of trouble. Sorry about that, guys. Boredom, resentment, and dissatisfaction may occur. And individuals may communicate less and avoid self-disclosure. Loss of trust and betrayals may take place as the downward spiral continues, eventually ending the relationship. Alternately, the participants may find some way to resolve the problems and reestablish truth and belief in others. The final stage marks the end of the relationship, either by breakups, death, or by separation for quite some time, and severing all existing ties of either friendship or romantic love. Oh, friendships may involve some degree of translucence. In other words, a person may become a friend of an existing friend's friend. However, if two people have a sexual relationship with the same person, they may become competitors rather than friends. Accordingly, sexual behavior with the sexual partner of a friend may damage the friendship. Sexual activities between two friends tend to alter that relationship, either by taking it to the next level or by severing it. So each one of us goes through each stage when it comes to building an interpersonal relationship. And when we build those relationships, we need to use the skills to do so. Okay? Moving forward, interpersonal skills. Here is a list of, bless you. Here is a list of different interpersonal skills, starting with verbal communication, what we say and how we say it, nonverbal communication, what we communicate without words. Body language is an example. Listening skills, how we interpret both the verbal and nonverbal messages sent by others. Negotiation, working with others to find a mutually agreeable outcome. Problem solving, working with others to identify, define, and solve problems. Decision making, exploring and analyzing options to make sound decisions. Assertiveness, communicating our values, ideas, beliefs, opinions, needs, and wants freely. All right? So now I want you guys to just think about it for a minute. Which one of these skills do you think you're great at? One? Some? All? You have 1 minute. You don't have to respond. You can just think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. I have news for you guys. We are working on and getting better at each of these as we go through each of our relationships. It's all a learning experience, guys. The learning will always continue no matter what the situation is on all of these skills, especially in interpersonal relationships. Relationship satisfaction. As we continue to work on and improve our interpersonal skills, we continue to search for relationship satisfaction. The social exchange theory and Rusbalt's who's a psychology professor, investment model shows that relationship satisfaction is based on 3 factors: rewards, costs, and comparison levels. Rewards refer to any aspects of the partner or relationship that are positive. Conversely, costs are the negative or unpleasant aspects of the partner or their relationship. Comparison level includes what each partner expects of the relationship. The comparison level is influenced by past relationships and general relationship expectations that are taught by family and friends. Okay? Let me just put these up here so that I don't have to click through while I'm talking. And one more. Okay. Social exchange theory and the investment model both theorize that relationships that are high in cost would be less satisfying than relationships that are low in cost. LDRs, long distance relationships, have a higher level of cost than normal relationships. Therefore, one would assume that LDRs are less satisfying than normal relationships. As previously stated, current research shows that individuals in long-distance relationships are actually more satisfied with their relationships compared to individuals in normal relationships. This can be explained by unique aspects of the LDRs, long-distance relationships, how the individuals use relationship maintenance behaviors, and the attachment styles of the individuals in the relationships. Therefore, the costs and benefits of the relationship are subjective to the individual, and recent research implies that people in LDRs tend to report lower costs and higher rewards in their relationship compared to people in normal relationships. It's pretty interesting about long distance relationships. When we are satisfied in our relationships, we can move on to better, more fulfilling experiences. Positive psychologists use the various terms flourishing, budding, blooming, blossoming relationships to describe interpersonal relationships that are not merely happy, but instead are characterized by intimacy, growth, and resilience. The background. So what's the background? What's the full story on how we can tell our relationships are flourishing, budding, blooming, and blossoming? Well, while traditional psychologists specializing in close relationships have focused on relationship dysfunction, positive psychology argues that relationship health is not merely the absence of relationship dysfunction. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of secure attachment and are maintained with love and purposeful, positive relationship behaviors. Additionally, healthy relationships can be made to flourish. Positive psychologists are exploring what makes existing relationships flourish and what skills can be taught to partners to enhance their existing and future personal relationships. A social skills approach suggests that individuals differ in their degree of communication skill, which has consequences for their relationships. Relationships in which partners possess and enact relevant communication skills are more satisfying and stable than relationships in which partners lack appropriate communication skills. Very intriguing. Adult attachment and attachment theory. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of secure attachments. Adult attachment models represent an internal set of expectations and preferences regarding relationship intimacy that guide behavior. Secure adult attachment, characterized by low attachment related avoidance and anxiety, has numerous benefits. Within the situation of safe, secure attachments, people can pursue the best human functioning and flourishing. This is because social acts that reinforce feelings of attachment also stimulate the release of neurotransmitters such as oxytocin and endorphins, which alleviate stress and create feelings of happiness. Attachment theory can also be used as a means of explaining adult relationships. So, secure attachment styles are characterized by low avoidance of intimacy and low anxiety over abandonment. Okay? Secure individuals are comfortable with intimacy and interdependence and are usually optimistic and social in everyday life. Securely attached individuals usually use their partners for emotion regulation, so they prefer to have their partners in close proximity. Preoccupied individuals, a preoccupant attachment style for preoccupied individuals, tend to be low on avoidance of intimacy and high on anxiety about abandonment. Preoccupied people are normally uneasy and vigilant towards any threat to the relationship and tend to be needy and jealous. Dismissing individuals, for the dismissing attachment style, are low on anxiety over abandonment and high in avoidance of intimacy. Dismissing people are usually self-reliant and uninterested in intimacy and are independent and indifferent towards acquiring romantic partners. Fearful attachment styled individuals, for the fearful attachment style, are high in avoidance of intimacy and high in anxiety over abandonment, which means they rarely allow themselves to be in relationships, and if they do get into one, are very anxious about losing the partner. They are very fearful of rejection, mistrustful of others, and tend to be suspicious and shy in everyday life. Attachment styles are created during childhood but can adapt and evolve to become a different attachment style based on individual experiences. A bad breakup or a bad romantic situation can change someone from being in a secure attachment to insecure. On the contrary, a good romantic relationship can take a person from an avoidant attachment style to a more secure attachment style, which is awesome. We're not specifically stuck in any specific style of attachment when you're in a romantic adult relationship, but it's always nice to know that even when you feel like you're this type of person, that somebody who comes in your life can change that a little bit for you. Romantic love. Each of us have a particular adult attachment, or maybe even a couple, but the differences between people is what makes a great relationship. The capacity for love gives depth to human relationships, brings people closer to each other physically and emotionally, and makes people think openly about themselves and the world. Stages of romantic interpersonal relationships can also be characterized more generally by the following: attraction, initiation, development, and sustaining versus terminating. Okay. Attraction. Planned or automatic attraction can occur between acquaintances, co-workers, lovers, etc., be it based on sexual arousal, intellectual stimulation, or respect. Studies have shown that attraction can be subject to influence based on context and externally induced arousal, with the caution that participants be unaware of the source of their arousal. A study by some psychologists induced arousal through physical exercise and found that the participants rated erotic pictures highly 4 minutes after exercise. When no longer realized aroused by exercise, then either immediately after, when arousal and awareness were greater, or 10 minutes later, when exercise-induced arousal had gone away. As supported by a series of studies, it was shown that a previous state of arousal can heighten reactions to effective stimuli. Initiation. Moving on, there are several objectives in the initiation of a new relationship. One commonly studied factor is physical proximity. The MIT Westgate studies famously showed that greater physical proximity between incoming students in a university residential hall led to greater relationship initiation. More specifically, only 10% of those living on opposite ends of Westgate West considered each other friends, while more than 40% of those living in adjacent apartments considered each other friends. The theory behind this effect is that proximity assists chance encounters, which leads to initiation of new relationships. This is closely related to the mere exposure effect, which states that the more an individual is exposed to a person or object, the more he or she likes it. Another important factor in the initiation of new relationships is similarity. Put simply, individuals tend to be attracted to and start new relationships with those who are similar to them. These similarities can include beliefs, rules, interests, culture, education, etc. Individuals seek relationships with like others because like others are most likely to validate shared beliefs and perspectives, thus assisting interactions that are positive, rewarding, and without conflict. Development. Stage 3 is the development of interpersonal relationships, and it can be further split into committed versus non-committed romantic relationships, which have different behavioral characteristics. In a study by Miguel and Buss, 2011, men and women were found to differ in a variety of mate retention strategies, depending on whether their romantic relationships were committed or not. More committed relationships by both genders were characterized by greater resource display, appearance enhancement, love and care, and verbal signs of possession. In contrast, less committed relationships by both genders were characterized by greater jealousy induction. In terms of gender differences, men used greater resource display than women, who used more appearance enhancement as a mate retention strategy than men did. The games couples will play. Sustaining versus terminating. There we go. After a relationship has had time to develop, it enters into a phase where it will be sustained if it is not otherwise terminated. Some important qualities of strong, enduring relationships include emotional understanding and effective communication between partners. Research has also shown that idealization of one's partner is linked to stronger interpersonal bonds. Idealization is the pattern of overestimating a romantic partner's positive virtues or underestimating a partner's negative faults in comparison to the partner's own self-evaluation. In general, individuals who idealize their romantic partners tend to report higher levels of relationship satisfaction. Other research has examined the impact of joint activity on relationship quality. In particular, studies have shown that romantic partners that engage in a novel and exciting physical activity together are more likely to report higher levels of relationship satisfaction than partners that complete an ordinary activity, which is sitting on the couch and Netflix and chilling. Triangular theory of love. Breaking down interpersonal relationships isn't as easy as it looks, but luckily for us, we are made to handle it. And it shows with this theory. In his triangular theory of love, psychologist Robert Sternberg puts forward that love is a mix of three components: some passion or physical attraction, intimacy or feelings of feelings of closeness, and commitment, involving the decision to initiate and sustain a relationship. The presence of all three components describes complete love, the most durable type of love. In addition, the presence of intimacy and passion in marital relationships predicts marital satisfaction. Also, commitment is the best predictor of relationship satisfaction, especially in long-term relationships. Positive consequences of being in love include increased self-esteem and self-worth. Now, I do have a few more slides that I need to go through, but I will continue them on next week as we are coming to a close for today. And for the meantime, I will just skip through to our end. Join us on Thursday, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's workshop, everyone. We are always happy to have you all participating with us every week. Please join us for the discussion afterwards, which will happen right after this. Also, please join us for the next workshop on Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. I also want to remind you all to like our videos after you have watched them. This is the best proof we have of you all having watched the videos we post if you aren't joining us during the watch party. For those of you who have made previous arrangements with your staff about letting us know when you have watched the workshops, please continue to do what is planned for you specifically. Thanks everybody for joining me today, and have a great day.